He's got really bad news for all of you. You see, we hear a lot, don't we, about income tax and what's going on and you know, the freezing of limits, and we hear about corporation tax and all the things I've discussed at great length on this show over the course of the last few months. I don't think I've mentioned council tax once. John, what's happening to our council tax?
Well, thanks for having me, Nigel. Yeah, bad news. It looks as if most councils across the country are going to increase council tax starting in April. There's a cap at which council tax can go up, and then after that cap, there's a local referendum. And guess what? It's going up right just below that cap of the referendum. Most councils are putting it up by 4.99%.
As Bromley, as we learned a moment ago.
Absolutely.
So call it 5% between friends. So most councils, your council tax will increase by 5%. For an average house, 120 quid, something like that.
Yeah, I think about an average Band D property of 5% council tax increase is looking at £100 to £120 extra on their bill, which at this time when inflation's so high, you know, the cost of petrol, the cost of energy, you know, heating their homes, 100 quid is a lot of money for most families across the country.
But in the case of Thurrock, in Essex and Croydon, it's going up by much more than 5%.
Yeah, Thurrock, Slough and Croydon have got a special dispensation to put it up by even more.
Because of the incompetence of their own leaders.
Essentially. A Section 114 notice was given to Thurrock Council, which meant that they're essentially bankrupt, for want of a better phrase. And they were written to financial auditors several years ago about their so-called appetite for risk, and they kept playing property speculator with taxpayers' money.
Yeah, and the green scandal that took place with solar down in Thurrock. And is there anything people can do about this increase?
Well, there's several things. I suppose that they can put pressure on their local councillors. Another thing that people can do is log onto their council's websites, go through the spending that councils are forced to publish, and be an armchair auditor. Find the waste themselves and take it to their local councillor and say, cut this out of the budget instead of putting my tax up.
But the argument is that it's social care costs that have gone up so much.
Yeah, there's a...
And there is some legitimacy in that argument.
Absolutely. Councils are responsible for enormous social care bills, adult and child, and it's important to say that the social care precept is a small part of that increase. I think it's 2 of the 5%. So in terms of social care, you could sort of say fair enough, particularly when the national system is such a mess.
Yeah.
But when we're talking about other parts of councils' budgets, absolutely residents can log on, find some areas of wasteful spending and hold their councillors to account on it.
Well, have a go, folks. Yeah, become armchair accountants. More generally, John, you know, the tax burden, we understand, is the highest it's now been for 70 years. I mean, since Clement Attlee was Prime Minister in post-war Britain. We also have a very big debate about corporation tax going up by nearly 30%. Big announcement at the beginning of this week. AstraZeneca, who were going to invest 330 million in Cheshire, have said, no, we're not doing that. We're off to Ireland, where corporation tax is much, much cheaper. Firstly, the Conservative government were criticised for reducing taxes too much. Now they're being criticised for increasing taxes too much. And I actually thought Kwarteng and Truss, they may have mismanaged it, but I thought they were on the right track. Do you think, as an organisation, as a Taxpayers Alliance, there is any chance of Hunt rethinking some of these tax rises?
I think the AstraZeneca news was pretty big. I mean, choosing to locate in Ireland is indicative of the corporation tax rates there of 12.5%. But guess what? Ireland's going to grow by nearly 5% this year. Yeah. Rates that we could only dream of. So, you know, when we're looking at that, when growth's anaemic, productivity's bad, it seems to be the one tax that backbench Conservative MPs are now taking to Jeremy Hunt and Rishi Sunak and saying, look, putting corporation tax up by 6 percentage points when we're desperate for inward investment, for jobs and growth, is absolutely crazy, and we would back that. You know, corporation tax ought to be low, simple, and encourage investment in the UK.